Hello and welcome to Love Brand You on Win Win Women TV. I'm Sam Rafoss, your host for this metaphysical show about faith and inspiration for you to succeed in all areas of your life. So, as we do each week, we start with a prayer, the Love Brand You opening prayer. So, let's just take a breath, settle in, relax, and just let yourself hear these words. Source loves me no matter what. I am always lovable, and I give myself compassion for everything I've ever done or not done. Love heals me more quickly than self-judgment. I choose love now for me and for everyone in my life. For this, I give thanks. I let it be so, and so it is. Welcome, everyone. And if you have tuned into the show for a few weeks, you know that I've started the show with the same prayer every week, and that is by choice. So hopefully we'll get into some repetition and we can all energetically say the prayer together each week. So that is, and always will be for now anyway, our opening prayer for Love Brand You. So this is episode 5. I really can't believe I'm already at episode 5 and we are in a new month. So as I said in the premiere episode that I will be doing a theme each month. So this month's theme is well-being. So I actually do have a slideshow today. So I thought I'd start off the month with a PowerPoint slideshow for you. So let me just share my screen and let's see if that works. There we go. All right. Now, it always just takes a moment to get it all set up. So thank you for bearing with me. Okay. So Love Brand You, and you have seen this logo before, you know. If you were with me from the beginning, I explained about Love Brand You and why I had the mandala in the middle. So let's get going. So my mandala actually works in many different ways. And one of those ways is it is the 6 areas that I coach people in. So well-being is our spirituality. Let's just say we talked about spirituality last month. So each of the episodes had a theme more for spirituality. So one session, I believe we talked more about prayer, and I had a guest on and we talked about our spirituality and faith. So if you want to check into episodes 1 to 4, you can catch those on the recording and you can find out more about what I talked about for spirituality. So this month we are talking about well-being, and my passion, well, obviously you can see because I call it Love Brand You, but let's just get to well-being, the state of being happy, healthy, and prosperous. So that's the dictionary definition. And for me, I look at well-being as more about how we think, what we do, and that's, more than what we are. And more so, the key to well-being is to love yourself. And I know we have all heard this, we know this. Everyone that works in self-help, in coaching the way that I do, we do talk about this a lot, not only for ourselves, but also with our clients. However, it is still the number one underlying, and I don't like to use the word issue. However, it's still the number one underlying thing that we all deal with, whether we're trying to be in a healthier relationship, whether we're trying to be healthier, whether we are trying to create more abundance in our life. It is all tied to our self-esteem. So love yourself. 85% of the world's population are affected by low self-esteem. And this comes from Dr. Joe Rubino, and he has a book about self-esteem. And if you even just think of your own self, that most of the time we're all okay. Most of the time our self-esteem is not too bad. We're pretty confident. We're pretty okay with what we're doing in our life. However, there are times when we know that what's holding us back is our own belief in ourselves. So that 85% is, I believe, pretty bang on overall. And studies show that it's the mind, body, spirit connection that is really strong when it comes to our self-esteem. So me being a holistic practitioner, a metaphysical practitioner, this is consistently what I go through with everyone that I work with. And I only work with people in the ways that I truly work with myself. So I'm not trying to get anyone to do anything that I don't do or experience myself. So the body, 5 senses, we know this. We have our hearing, our sight, we taste, smell, touch. The mind, this conscious mind, this subconscious mind, we've heard of that. And spirit, I attune that to intuition, or what I call the sixth sense. However, for today's purposes, for this show on well-being and love yourself, I want to focus on the mind. So the conscious mind, we know it's our thinking. We know we're aware, we're awake. We know that consciously we are thinking. And we have a choice what to think. And sometimes we're, and I'll speak for myself, sometimes I'm deliberately thinking what I want. And sometimes it gets away from me. And then our subconscious mind are those 24/7 patterns of thought. It's our unconscious programming. It is those beliefs that came from childhood that we all come with. We all were born and raised in a family, and we were taught things sometimes by osmosis, sometimes things that our parents did. That's just what we did. I can think of many things that I do specifically because that's the way I was raised. So you're walking, if you learn to ride a bike, we know that certainly you did what it took to learn it. However, the subconscious programming to ride that bike, that's why the saying is there, oh, you'll catch on. It's just, it's just like riding a bike, you'll remember. So this is our subconscious programming, and it does what it's told to do. So what does it have to do with self-love and self-esteem? I know people are always saying, okay, get to the point. Well, the point that I'm trying to make is the subconscious mind, it accepts the dominant of the two ideas that we might be thinking about. So we can take it back to riding that bike. I know I didn't have a problem when I was riding a bike when I was a child. However, when we were trying to teach one of my daughters how to ride a bike when she was young, her younger sister actually picked up riding a bike very quickly. And my older daughter at the time didn't want to do it because she kept falling and she was afraid. So she believed that she couldn't ride a bike. So that's just an example. And until we practiced more with her and helped her believe that, you know what, it really is something that you can do, until she actually believed that, she just had trouble. And once she believed that, then she could ride a bike. So, and it's the strongest emotion attached to it. So again, back to riding the bike. She was afraid, and that fear in her subconscious mind was more so then when during the day, when we'd be talking about it, we'd talk about, let's go out and practice. During that time, she wasn't so much afraid. However, until she believed, and it was practiced, not only riding the bike, but practiced in that emotion. So hopefully you're picking up what I'm laying down. So I call it, this is the law, and it's the law of the mind. It's the universal law. It's the law of the universe. It's scientific law. This is not something that we can change. It is what happens in the universe. If you understand and know metaphysical law, if you understand the subconscious and conscious mind, if you can even think about it to put it to something that happens in your own life, it's not whether you will it to happen or not. It is just the law. So the subconscious mind is your thought and feeling, and it's the sum total of your beliefs, your opinions, your acceptances, and your convictions. And it sounds almost like, oh, really? However, when you think about it more so than just in the words that I'm putting on the screen, if you were to think about it, even in your own life. And if I attribute it to something in my life, that when I believe, let's bring it back to a health issue. That's the only word I can think of today, issue, a health problem. When I had 20 or 30 pounds that I was carrying that I wanted to lose, I believed that I couldn't lose it. And this is like 16, 17 years ago. My youngest daughter is 16, and it was after she was born that I was trying to lose that weight. But because I had had 3 pregnancies and because I had gained weight with each one of them, I just kept thinking in my mind, well, you have kids, you gain weight, and it's difficult to lose the weight. And that was my underlying belief. However, when I decided that, what, I really do want to lose this baby weight, I really do want to feel better, I really do want to lose the weight to feel better, not only to look better, but to really feel better inside. However, it took me to feeling better in my emotions. And what I mean by, until I accepted the fact that I felt the love for myself, whether I weighed 20 pounds more, 30 pounds more than what my goal weight wanted to be, when I became okay with whatever it was, rather than fixated on the fact that I wanted to get to a certain weight or I felt bad about it. As soon as I let that programming go, and we've all heard the terms, just let it go, just let it go. But until you really do, and I know you guys, I know the women that are watching this, I know the women that may be tuning in on the replay, I know as women that a lot of us feel this way, that there is something in our life, until we figured out how to proverbial let it go, it was there. So it was until we gave the subconscious mind the dominant belief and the stronger emotion that's when it happened. And I can tell you from that experience, it wasn't too long until I did lose the weight. Of course, throughout my whole journey of trying to lose that weight after the girls were born, I was doing all of the healthy things I should be. I was out walking, I was exercising, I was eating healthy. However, until that actual belief kicked in, and the belief was attached to how much I loved myself, whether I was, quote, overweight or not. It was just my belief on what I look like and what let's just say, like what others thought. And until I gave that up, until I went, you know what, I love myself no matter what, that it's going to be okay and I can lose the weight, then things start to shift. So that's my explanation for that. And if you can think of it in terms of the butterfly, so here we have this butterfly, and I always equate the butterfly to what I'm talking about in Love Brand You when I'm saying transform from the inside out, because the butterfly is that great, the great image for transformation. What's different between humans and, say, the butterfly, though, is the butterfly knows that it's going to be a butterfly. And I'm sure some of you have heard that analogy before, but the butterfly is there. It starts with the larvae, the egg, whatever you want to call that starting point. Larvae, I think it is. Let's just say that. So we come from an egg, and then we're born, and we go through our life stages, and we need to go through as many difficult times as sometimes as we're growing, our life is more difficult. And sometimes we get stuck in those difficult periods and we get into self-blame, or we think we should be doing better, or we get stuck in fear. We get stuck in, I'm not good enough, just as I was talking about, me and the weight loss. What happens with butterflies, though, is they instinctively know, as soon as they're that larvae, they instinctively know that they are going to go through those different cycles of ascendancy to get to the butterfly. So I really love this quote from one of the women I follow, and I have her book, and I'll get the name for it as soon as we go through this quote. But like you, the butterfly shares the cycles of ascendancy, mastering all the various stages. So same, we're born, we're into childhood, we have these beliefs that we come along with, and then as we grow into teens, into adulthood, into maturity, along the way, we are believing, we are thinking, we are coming up with experiences, we're going through different life lessons, stages of life, and each time we are either affirming our love and our self-esteem and our confidence, we are affirming that, or we're not, or we're going into fear, or we're going into not believing in ourselves, or we're just what most of us go through, that period of I'm just not good enough. And it's only a human trait. The butterfly doesn't go through that. We go through that because of our conscious and subconscious mind. So it's the programming that we give to our subconscious mind. So unlike you, however, the butterfly knows from its inception, its divine destiny, and holding firmly the clarity of that vision manifests it. So I just want to leave this image here for a moment. I want you to just read that quote, and it is from Dorian Beitz. She wrote the book, I have it right here, and it's called Unbound, A Spiritual Guide to Mastery of the Material World. And it's quite a fascinating book. And when I was going through quotes, because as you know, again, if you've been on previous shows, that each week I try to give a quote that is really meaningful to me, that has to do with what I'm talking about. And when we think of our own ascendancy, our own life path, as we could call it, and as what I do when I'm working with individuals. We're talking about the way that life has unfolded for the individual. We are the same as a butterfly when it comes to the law. So I mentioned the law earlier, the universal law, or the law of mind, the law of the universe. When humans are born, we are born for a reason. We would not be here if we didn't have a divine purpose. We would not be here if there wasn't something that we were to divinely manifest. So just like the butterfly, just like any other animal, any being in the planet, any other person in your life, if we look at each individual in our lives, we are here to fulfill our divine purpose. And part of that is, well, part of the first thing to do is understanding that is so. And part of that is loving that part of ourselves that brings about that divine manifestation. So the difference between, say, the butterfly or any other animal is they know that. So when hard times come, it doesn't faze them. They don't have to talk to their subconscious mind and tell themselves or program themselves differently. They just know. They just know, okay, I'm going to be this larvae. I'm going to go into cocoon. I'm going to struggle against that cocoon that is holding me in. And that's okay. I'm going to take as long as it takes, because I know as a butterfly that I am going to come out as this beautiful butterfly that is here on the screen. So this butterfly knows I am going to be that. Where us humans, even though intuitively, and I call it our divine self, so this is where I'm getting to the spiritual side. So I've spent most of the mind, body, spirit talk today talking about the mind. But if we think of our spiritual side, we have that divine self. We have that butterfly self. So if you were to look at where I've got the logo here, and I specifically put my logo on a red background for you tonight. Please move the window away. Oh, I'm looking at my screen and I'm like, what is it telling me? And that's okay. Let's see. You guys know my logo. So anyway, so I put it on a red background because I wanted you guys to see that when I had my designer design the logo, I specifically said to her, leave the mandala, leave it always the center of it white, because the white for me is that divine self. That is the divine self of you. It's the divine self of me. So when I'm working with individuals and I use this image, I'm always saying to them, okay, is that, you know, when we're talking about loving yourself, or we're talking about fear, or we're talking about something on their path, if it's, you know, the health problem that they want guidance with, or if it's a business problem, if it's a financial well-being, career, in those different areas that I work with that I talked about at the beginning on the mandala. So I'm always going back to, are you talking about your ego self, or are you talking about your divine self? So teaching yourself to love yourself no matter what, and getting to that divine self, because the divine self always loves you. Your self has the ego self that we talk about. It's the part that really doubts us. It's the part that isn't the butterfly, realizing that we're divine. It's the fears. It's the programming that we've told ourselves. So that's your ego. If it doesn't feel good, or you're in fear, you're in the ego self. If you feel good, you are in your divine self. So I gotta move my All right. So going back to Love Brand You, my tagline, transform from the inside out and make your dreams true, because this is truly what I do believe, that anyone I work with, that this is where we start, is that inside believing and loving yourself, that you truly can make your dreams come true if you're loving yourself. So well-being, that's our theme for the month. Today we're talking about that, loving yourself. So well-being doesn't mean that you never experience difficult feelings or tough situations, but it does mean that you feel you can cope, or you're able to reach out for help if you need. And holistic life coaching, which I do, helps individuals overcome physical and mental issues that block their well-being. And peaceful and mindful feelings set the stage for big changes. So this is really how I like to work with individuals, is starting with that subconscious, conscious mind connection, and knowing that the divine self is the peace, and being mindful about your feelings, but it's the peace. And I had one of my clients say to me, "You're always so calm. That's what I love about you. You're always so calm." And I said, I started to laugh and I said, well, it's been a lifelong practice. It's been a practice of what I do each day. You know, it becomes part of what you teach. Those of us that teach this work and work in this work, it's, I only help individuals with what I've already practiced and what I do practice. And so, you know, you teach what you practice. So each week, I'm always asking you, the audience, to do some homework, should you choose, based on what we've talked about. So what I would like to ask each of you is, just what's one action step that you can take this week that you can think and feel loving to yourself. So lots of times we can think of things that we want to do, and we put, you know, on our to-do list, oh, I'm going to, you know, say an affirmation 5 times, a loving affirmation. However, when I'm working with individuals and we're talking about this, I'm saying to them, what is your feeling about that? Because if you are saying an affirmation or you're doing a prayer, whatever it is you're doing, if you're not feeling 100% connected to that affirmation, then your subconscious, remember I talked about earlier that your subconscious is taking the dominant idea. It's taking the dominant feeling, the stronger feeling. So unless you are absolutely feeling it, and really an affirmation, you're just changing slightly either the wording or you're changing the lead up to it. And lots of times the example that I give to my clients is, all I say is, if you can't quite get there to absolutely believe it 100%, then I'll say, how about I am in the process of feeling good about losing weight. I am in the process of believing that I have what it takes to lose the 30 pounds. So that's just an example. And you really do have to get the wording that works for you. And when I am working with individuals, I really do help them work on, you know, what is the wording that can work for you. So I hope that makes sense. And what that just really means when I say I'm working with the individual on the wording is, I have so many affirmations, if you can imagine, that I work with daily, that I do with myself. However, when individuals want those affirmations, then that's when we really talk about it to know if it's something that works for them or not. And until you can fully accept that 100% that affirmation works for you, then that's what you work on with your subconscious mind. And it's the repetition. It's the repetition with the affirmation that actually works for you that is key. So that is our teaching module for today. And as always, I end with the closing prayer. I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, we're at our half hour. So I'm going to do our closing prayer and close us out here. So if you would like to take a deep breath and just relax for a moment. I call forth into the center of my mind, to the God of the universe, that healing energies radiate new positive thought patterns into my subconscious mind. I love myself. I give thanks that I am heard, and so it is.